Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We have the pleasure, the privilege, and what will be a very interesting debate about the Guru-Shishya relationship as it works in terms of how it works in Singapore. What I think would be very useful and meaningful would not be about me theorizing ideas or making theoretical assumptions, but actually listening to the voices of Professor Seetha Lakshmi and Professor Jean Lai. And what will happen is they will present their pre-recorded examples and their presentations, which will then enable me to work with what they have said, which will prompt me to think about how all of these ideas of a teacher-student relationship, which all three of us are all too familiar with, and how that will work in terms of something that is so close to a tradition that both Professor Seetha Lakshmi and Professor Jean Lai are familiar with. As the uneducated personnel in the trio, I should say I will stand as an outsider, but I will have an outsider's perspective on how what an insider's perspective of the tradition of the Guru-Shishya relationship handles the ways in which somebody from the outside might have a perspective. So I will hand it over to Professor Lakshmi and Professor Jean.
Good evening to all. Today we are going to see the respect for knowledge and Guru in contemporary music education. Thanks for all your kind participation in this webinar. Guru means knowledge. He is a mine of knowledge. He is a giver of knowledge. He is deserving of much respect from us. A Guru means that he is an elder. He is the abode for knowledge, affection, patience, and good character. A Guru is someone who is due much respect. The Nannul, a 13th century Tamil grammar book, defines the qualities of good teacher and good student. A good teacher has to be born in a good family, has empathy for all living things, shows the real God by being a living God, upholds strong principles throughout his or her life, is a magnanimous person that focuses only on teaching, has clear knowledge from reading many books, knows about many art forms, has a thirst for lifelong learning. A guru has enough oral proficiency to explain simply and ensure that clear understanding by his or her students. He has to possess qualities equivalent to land, mountain, weight scales, and flower. Even when students show disrespect, the teacher, the guru, remains as patient as the earth, that is a personification of patience. The guru has to be a river. He has to be a giver of water even when rain does not fall. He has the heart to give education even when without the due income. Like how a weight scale's hand always remains in the middle, the guru will explain the meaning of the book he read in an objective way, regardless of how much he has read. If this society is a tree, the teachers are its flowers. People who always teach objectively with bright smiles and gentle nature. Flowers' nature. So the teachers, gurus, are equal to flowers. The Guru has the singular high virtue of bringing students to greater heights in any way, be it through knowledge, affection, a blessing, kindness, character, or care. Nannul states that only someone with these 10 types of qualities is truly a good teacher, a good Guru. Guru and Shishya, this is a cultural concept in Tamil culture and Indian culture. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruvaya Namaha is a mantra sung daily by disciples in praise of the Gurus. The meaning is, the Guru eradicates darkness, which here refers to anything that obscures the light of awareness. The Guru aids one in the realization of his true self, the whole self and the holy self. So the Guru removes avidya, ignorance, which is a case of mistaken identity. While education removes misunderstandings, clears doubts and adds knowledge within a person, the Guru eliminates ignorance and corrects his students' errors of judgment. By singing this Guru mantra with a sincere heart, one will see the power of enlightenment. These are the pictures of Guru and his instruction to his disciples. Guru-Shishya, a cultural concept. Mother, father, teacher, God. These four people are very important in Tamil culture. So they said Mata, mother, Pita, father, Guru, teacher, Devam is God. Literally, mother, father, teacher, God are equal to God. After parents, the Guru is the one who is God. God is only after these three people. Great experience. The divine relationship between the teacher and student help to develop the shishyas' intellectual capacity while enforcing discipline and building confidence to overcome future challenges. In Tamil culture, the aforementioned qualities helped an individual to attain success by achieving Brahma Anubhava. Brahma means great, Anubhava means experience. So, having a good teacher-student relationship or having a good guru, the students will get Brahma Anubhava, that means great experience. So the relationship between a guru and Shishya begins the moment the guru is revered as God. Only Shishyas acquire sufficient knowledge from their gurus. They are obligated to fulfill similar roles when they themselves become gurus. The Divine Guru. In the Bhagavad Gita, the holy book of Hindus, Lord Krishna is considered the Divine Guru. Although the Gita is known as the book of war, it depicts valuable lessons passed down from Krishna, the Guru, to Arjuna, the disciple, on the battlefield. While Krishna advises Arjuna on war, the end of life, and the Anma, the soul. In many faiths, great Guru is considered as an important teacher. As a Shishya, Arjuna learned a lot about life, death and soul. Lord Krishna was the Guru to him in the battlefield. He mentioned that there is no death for the soul. The soul will be born again in different form of a body. You did not bring anything to this world. Hence, why you are worrying about the unimportant things? You come here and you go from here. Hence, don't worry about anything. This is a very good lesson by Lord Krishna. So he mentioned that do good things. This is Guru Krishna's lessons to his Shishya Arjuna. Ancient Tamil book Purananuru informs that we are responsible for good and bad in our life, not others. So all places are our places. Every human is our relative. Now we are realizing this in today's globalized life. Respect for Guru and knowledge. Reverence for knowledge. In Vedic times, a guru serves as a life advisor and guide in his student's life. In Sangam era, in Tamil literature, poets like Kapilar upheld the duty of protecting and caring for the daughters of kings like Pari. So the kings believed the gurus at any part of their life. Kings greatly valued and respected the knowledge of poets who served as gurus for them. Here these pictures shows that the student receives blessing from his guru. The second one also, the Indian classical dancer seeks blessings from her guru. This culture is still continuing in arts education. Gurukula, an educational institution setting. From Vedic to modern times, the Guru-Shishya relationship is one that is very dependable and praiseworthy. They believe one another. This practice was present up till the 18th century. A guru taught everything including education, life, character and divinity. Both a child of royal descent and a child of general populace studied together in this Gurukulam. Gurukulam means the Guru's house. So usually students will stay there and study their lessons from this Guru. Gurukula, which is the residential school, was liked by the parents in ancient India. Finding that the right kind of guru was challenging for the parents. In Vedic tradition, there was an entrance test conducted by the gurus on students. That means students' aptitude and knowledge. Each day in the Gurukulas began with disciples completing morning routines, attending yoga sessions, taking their baths, and completing other duties entrusted to them by their gurus. From Vedic to modern times, the Guru-Shishya relationship is one that is very dependable and praiseworthy. They believe one another, they praise one another, they understand one another. This practice was present up till the 18th century. Carnatic music is still relevant in Singapore. The Guru-Shishya concept in music of the four Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Atharvana Veda. Sama is sung to the musical notes which is identified as the Samagana scale with all 7 swaras. It is believed that music developed from this Veda and it is taught the same way as Guru-Shishya Parampara, that means Guru-Shishya tradition. To learn Carnatic music in the 15th century required discipline and the right attitude. With no proper historical records, teaching was dependent on the Guru-Shishya system. Mahagurus of South Indian traditional music. The Guru-Shishya relationship was present in not just education but also in the arts. In classical music industry in South India, Tyagarajar, Muthuswami Dikshidhar and Shyama Sastri all serve as Maha, that means important gurus, great gurus. They have accomplished many achievements in classical music. Even today, events commemorating Tyagaraja are happening in all countries with musicians and other artists. This is the respect and gratitude given to a guru. This is a ceremony that will always continue in the arts industry. It's a special ceremony of large scale happening in Tanjavur, Tamil Nadu even today. This is a model, education model of Gurukula system. Carnatic music is still relevant in Singapore. Carnatic music is one of the oldest forms of music in the world. In South India, musicians and composers such as Annamaya, Bhatrachalam Ramadasa and Purandaradasa, who were largely responsible for the emergence of golden era of Carnatic music. Carnatic music is still relevant in Singapore today and there are several associations that seek to expose young people to Carnatic music traditions. The People's Association in Singapore is a key player in maintaining the traditional art form. They have organized many events which encourage local musicians to perform a variety of Indian music and other art forms. Furthermore, Nirityalaya, Sifas, and the Rhythms Aesthetic Society, they all provide opportunities for the younger generation to learn and practice Indian Carnatic and Hindustani music. Schools and Carnatic music. There are various schools now offer Carnatic music as a co-curricular activity which has encouraged many younger people to learn this traditional music. Non-Tamil students also, non-Indian students also learning this Indian traditional music. Schools, community centers and individuals now regularly organize classical Indian music performances, and many parents have registered their children as students with the associations and schools like Singapore Indian Fine Arts Society, CFAS. Guru is the greatest. A guru is more than a teacher and a parent. Gurus have full respect and love toward their shishyas, and for them their shishya is the future guru. When discussing Guru-Shishya tradition in Singapore, the renowned reed flutist Dr. Gana Vinothan Ratnam has mentioned that moderation and consistency in teaching methodology has given teachers in Singapore a broader framework and has enabled talented students to showcase their talents in Singapore. Furthermore, Dr. Gana Vinodhan mentioned that he learned from a guru and today he acts as a guru for many of his students, which shows that though the education context has changed, students still appreciate and respect their gurus. This respect is very important in music education and arts education. This type of education not only was suitable in the past but can also be employed in the modern world. So this is a real unique feature in the music education and Guru-Shishya relationship. Saraswati is the goddess of education. Guru is predominantly the god of education and the arts and a solver of problems in those two domains. In Tamil culture, prayers are usually offered to Guru on Thursdays. Lord Dakshinamurti, the god of wisdom, who sat under a tree providing advice, is also considered a guru. Prayers are held for him on Thursdays. If one does not have a guru, Lord Dakshinamurti can be considered for that role. In the Tamil community, parents are also considered as gurus. In ancient times, disciples were required to respect their parents and teachers equally, since the guru was both a guide and a surrogate parent. In any art form, from singing traditional devotional songs to mastering Bharatanatyam dance, the Guru-Shishya relationship continued to flourish. The Guru enforced discipline, keeping the Shishyas engaged and motivated while steering them towards a godly way of life. Tamil music education. Joshua Fishman's in-depth study on the loss of ethno-cultural languages and the departure of traditional cultures can be allegorized with the Guru-Shishya relationship study. He mentioned that languages, cultures and art should continue for generations. Guru-Shishya relationship is fundamental for that. No matter how much the world changes today, no matter where Tamils live, no matter how teaching approaches change, the fact that respect for the Guru is always strong in disciples is evident in the Singapore arts industry. At the same time, contemporary Tamil music education is at a crossroad between an old heritage and the modern world. I believe that the disciples raised by the Gurus of yesterday will continue to cherish and protect this good sacred relationship with their future generation of shishyas. Hence, although we are living in 21st century, globalized world and modern era, the Guru-Shishya relationship and love between them and respect for gurus are still in Singapore art education. That means we can ensure that it will continue forever in this art industry. We are very grateful to understand this Guru-Shishya relationship and let us continue in our lives also. Thank you for the opportunity. These are the references. I also would like to express my sincere acknowledgements to the following gurus in their own domains. Professor Victor Fung and Professor Leonard Tan, editors the Oxford Book of Asian Philosophies in Music Education. Prof. Eugene Dairyanathan, Visual and Performing Arts Department, NIE, for his guidance, support and continuous encouragement. All my gurus, teachers, for their guidance to me in my life. Mr. Muhammad Zulfadli Iksan, Visual and Performing Arts Department, for his guidance in recording and patience for understanding me. Dr. Jennifer Wong, Visual and Performing Arts Department, for organizing this event. Dr. Jean Loy, Visual and Performing Arts Department, NIE, for co-presenting with me in this webinar. Ms. Saranya for her assistance, and supportive audience, you, and internet for retrieving many pictures from it.
As a graduate student in ethnomusicology at Wesleyan University, one of the few legacy institutions known for its Carnatic music studies, my immersion in Carnatic music was not merely an academic pursuit, but a deeply transformative experience. Under the mentorship of Professor B. Balasubramanian, or Balu as we all call him, and Professor David Nelson, I studied Carnatic vocal music and mridangam to fulfill my master's and PhD requirements. My journey with Carnatic music at Wesleyan was never just about coursework. It was a deep immersion into its practice, performance, and culture. I spent hours at Balu and David's practice sessions, clapping tala and singing along, absorbing the rhythmic and melodic intricacy firsthand. I was given the opportunity to play the tambura for Carnatic faculty recitals, perform Carnatic music on and off campus, and accompany Bharatanatyam recitals for Professor Hari Krishnan's students. These were transformative experiences that sharpened my understanding of the music's depth and complexity. For 5 years, I served as a graduate teaching assistant for Balu and David, leading tutorial sessions for undergraduates struggling with Sokatu and Carnatic vocal music. These teaching experiences, along with my undergraduate training at NIE, shaped my approach to pedagogy, allowing me to adapt Carnatic music instruction to students with diverse learning needs. Additionally, my studies in Javanese gamelan under Sumar Sam and I.M. Harjito, along with my role as the teaching assistant, further broadened my perspective, giving me insights into how different cultural and institutional contexts shape world music pedagogies. Recently, I had a rare opportunity to explore Sokatu with a group of very dedicated student teachers at NIE. In this presentation, I explore Guru-Shishya Paramparam, starting with the history of Carnatic music education at Wesleyan and T. Vishwanathan's role in shaping its unique approach. Drawing from my own experiences, I will discuss the gatekeeping and exclusivity of Guru-Shishya Paramparam, particularly its impact on the global Carnatic music community. The next section provides the historical context behind my training at Wesleyan. Wesleyan University has been North America's hub for South Indian music and dance studies for many years. This reputation has been shaped by numerous Carnatic musicians and scholars whose collaborative efforts have enriched its curriculum. Influential figures like Robert E. Brown, T. Vishwanathan, T. Ranganathan, T. Balasaraswati, S. Ramanathan, and Ramnath Raghavan significantly advanced the pedagogies of Carnatic music and dance within Wesleyan's campus. John Higgins, the first non-Indian Carnatic musician, received training from T. Vishwanathan at Wesleyan and was given the title Bhagavata, meaning scholar musician. He made extensive recordings of Carnatic music before his life was tragically ended by a drunk driver in 1984. The impact of these pioneers reached beyond academia, influencing global music movements, fostering intercultural exchanges, and informing world music pedagogy. This group collectively established a unique framework for incorporating an oral musical tradition into Western institutions. Wesleyan's South Indian music program continues to serve as a cornerstone for ethnomusicology and performance studies, continuing the legacy of its founding figure, particularly T. Viswanathan. T. Viswanathan was a professor at Wesleyan University and co-author of the book Music in South India. Vishwa, as we all called him at Wesleyan, was born in 1927 in Madras, now Chennai, South India, into an illustrious musical family of the Devadasi tradition in South Indian music and dance. His grandmother, Veena Dhanamal, was one of the most prominent female veena players of her time, and his older sister, T. Balasaraswati, was an internationally recognized exponent of Bharatanatyam, a South Indian classical dance form. Growing up in this environment, Vishwa was exposed to Carnatic music from an early age. At just 8 years old, Vishwa left home to study the Carnatic flute under T. N. Swaminathan Pillai, learning in the traditional Guru-Shishya system. He followed a strict routine, practicing 2 hours before school and another 2 before bed, taking Carnatic music lessons, doing chores, and running errands for his teacher. Vishwa continued his training with Swaminathan Pillai for nearly 20 years. Over his career, Vishwa performed extensively across India, Europe, and North America, gaining international recognition as a master of Carnatic flute. In 1958, he pursued an MA in ethnomusicology at University of California, Los Angeles, under the mentorship of ethnomusicology pioneer Mentor Hood, supported by Rockefeller and Fulbright scholarships. His time at UCLA was transformative. Not only did he refine his understanding of Carnatic music in a global context, but he also exposed to diverse musical traditions, including Japanese gamelan, Balinese gamelan, Japanese gagaku, and Persian music, and their pedagogical approaches through UCLA's World Music Study Groups. His classmates include experts from various musical traditions, such as Harja Susilo, a Japanese gamelan master who later became a professor at University of Hawaii at Manoa. This cross-cultural engagement led Vishwa to critically reassess the traditional Guru-Shishya paramparam of Carnatic music. In an interview with his student, ethnomusicologist, and co-author of Music in South India, Matthew Allen, Vishwa questioned the relevance of Guru-Shishya paramparam and highlighted the importance of intellectual engagement in music education. Matthew Allen, it seems that washing clothes, running errands, and shopping for your guru teach you things about respect and approach to life and humility. Vishwa, is humility the only way to learn? No. While respect for teachers is important, real learning comes from curiosity, clear thinking, and active engagement. In the Guru-Shishya system, many students were humble and devoted, yet not all succeed. Success isn't just about being humble, but also about asking questions, thinking deeply, and applying knowledge. This perspective shaped Vishwa's pedagogical approach. He adapted Mentor Hood's teaching approach of learning a musical tradition both practically and intellectually to the teaching of Carnatic music, making it more accessible to students from diverse backgrounds. Vishwa remained in the United States from 1966 onward, holding faculty positions at the California Institute of the Arts and later at Wesleyan University, where he played a crucial role in developing innovative Carnatic music pedagogy until his passing in 2002. While Vishwa's early music training was deeply rooted in the Guru-Shishya paramparam, he adapted its principles to an academic setting, creating a hybrid pedagogical approach at Wesleyan that retained the oral transmission methods of traditional Carnatic training while making them accessible to Western students through supplementary resources. Recognizing the challenges of teaching non-Indian students unfamiliar with traditional oral transmission, Vishwa developed a notation system that bridged Carnatic solfege, sarigama, with Western-style notation system and supplemented it with video and audio recordings. When asked if he believed in the use of notation, Vishwa replied, "I believe in notation, but it should be supplemented with recording equipment." You know, we used to talk about audio recording. Now, video should be included for learning as well. For dance, video is essential. However, I'm saying that even for music, video should be incorporated. If you can see as well as hear a vocalist or an instrumentalist, it becomes much easier to learn a particular style. You should observe how a musician opens his or her mouth and how the fingers work on an instrument. The learning process will accelerate. That's what I'm trying to do in my teaching. One of the most striking examples of Vishwa's groundbreaking pedagogy is his notation system. As demonstrated in his transcription of Sri Gananatha, a beginner-level Gitam, his system transformed the traditional representation of Carnatic music by meticulously organizing the composition into 3 columns, mapping the tala structure. Here, the 3-beat Rupakam tala. What makes his method particularly remarkable is the way it captures the interplay of the swaras, or pitch, the gamakas, or ornamentation, and the sahityam, or lyrics, within the rhythmic framework. A key innovation lies in his precise notation of gamakas, an element often considered too fluid for rigid transcription. By incorporating lines that function like semiquavers and demi-semiquavers in Western staff notation, Vishwa achieves an unprecedented level of rhythmic and melodic clarity to students trained in Western art music. In addition to Vishwa's notation, the Mridangam notation system developed by Robert E. Brown and T. Ranganathan, Vishwa's brother, revolutionized the Mridangam pedagogy and the way drum strokes are presented, offering a precise and intuitive framework for rhythmic transcription. Each stroke is meticulously mapped using distinct symbols that align seamlessly with corresponding sokatu, spoken rhythmic syllables.
Ta, ki, ta, ta, ka. Di, ki, ta, ta, ka. Tom, ki, ta, ta, ka. Nam, ki, ta, ta, ka.
Vishwa's innovations at Wesleyan made Carnatic music more accessible to a global audience and reflected a broader shift in how the Guru-Shishya Paramparam is evolving beyond its traditional framework into institutional settings. Despite this transition, certain aspects of the Guru-Shishya Paramparam, including exclusivity, knowledge gatekeeping, continue to shape the musical practice. The Guru-Shishya Paramparam has been long central to the transmission of artistic and cultural traditions, encompassing disciplines from yoga to barbering. In this system, the Guru traditionally served as the primary source of knowledge and mentorship, fostering a close and immersive learning experience. However, the increasing role of institutions has reshaped how Carnatic music is taught and understood. In Singapore, for example, students often identify more closely with institutions like the Singapore Indian Fine Arts Society, SIFAS, than with individual gurus. While institutionalization has expanded access and provided structure, it has also introduced complexities. Recognition through national and international awards and connections with influential figures and organizations has reinforced institutional authority. While this can enhance visibility and professionalization, an overemphasis on institutional control may risk limiting stylistic diversity and alternative pedagogies, potentially narrowing the scope of artistic expression. My journey as Carnatic music student has revealed the deep complexities of tradition, pedagogy, and interpretation. Despite training under a respected guru from the Vina Dhanama lineage, I have encountered criticism from certain practitioners who attribute my differing playing techniques and understanding of Carnatic music to my teachers rather than acknowledging the broader reality of learning, adaptation, and individual artistry. This raises an essential question. Who has authority to define what is right or wrong in music, and on what grounds do practitioners justify dismissing interpretation from different lineages? Vishwa's pedagogy at Wesleyan University fundamentally challenged rigid notions of authenticity, proving that Carnatic music could survive and thrive beyond its conventional settings. His pedagogy has benefited generations of Indian and non-Indian students, among whom John Higgins and David Nelson have demonstrated that dedication and rigorous training can lead to widespread acceptance, even within the Carnatic music community in Madras or Chennai. If such a system of learning produces musicians capable of gaining respect at the highest level, how could their musical materials and interpretation be considered wrong? At its core, this debate is not merely about correctness, but about authority, legitimacy, and the evolving nature of Carnatic music in modern society. While the Guru-Shishya Paramparam has been essential in preserving musical knowledge, its pedagogical approach, rooted in oral transmission and immediate replication, can sometimes pose challenges for students with different learning needs. Traditional Carnatic music pedagogy places strong emphasis on memorization and quick internalization, which benefits those who excel in imitation but may create difficulties for learners who require more time or alternative methods. From my experience, I noticed that the strong focus on learning quickly could sometimes make it harder for students who needed more time to keep up. Even though teachers had good intentions, some teaching method and expectations could create a high-pressure environment where hesitation or mistakes were met with frustration instead of encouragement. In such cases, the fear of making mistakes could become stronger than curiosity, making learning more stressful than enjoyable. Recognizing these challenges, a balanced teaching approach that keeps traditional pedagogical practices while adding patience, support, and flexibility can help create a more welcoming and supportive learning space. The ongoing relevance of Guru-Shishya Paramparam depends on its ability to evolve while maintaining its core values, addressing power dynamics, encouraging dialogues across lineages, styles, and genres such as Tamil folk music, and incorporating modern pedagogical strategies can contribute to a more equitable learning environment. By fostering an inclusive approach that respects diverse learning needs and pedagogical perspectives, the institutionalized Guru-Shishya Paramparam can continue to inspire and educate future generations, from young students who aspire to become future stars of Carnatic music to admirers like me who lack talent but possess a curiosity about the musical tradition. Ultimately, the question remains, can the Guru-Shishya Paramparam, which has been a source of both continuity and contention, serve as a unifying force within the broader Carnatic music community? Can it evolve in a way that honors diverse musical lineages, styles, and genres, fostering open and meaningful dialogue, and balances tradition with innovation? Addressing these considerations may be essential to sustaining this system while promoting inclusivity and strengthening connections within the global Carnatic music community. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prof. Seetha and Prof. Jean. Somewhere in between, and I'm going to just start this, and I'm going to hope that there will be people within the community. Thank you so much for your support. That raises an interesting question of the Guru-Shishya relationship, because there is an understanding of readership. Who is the Guru? Who is the Shishya? And in that sense, you ask the ridiculous question. Duh, I'm the Guru, you're the student. you follow what I say. And we've seen that happening tragically across many other domains, subject domains. But this is an interesting case in point, because the question of readership begs the question of what kind of quality of readership there is. Is it compliant readership? I'm the teacher. Maybe I hold a 12-inch ruler to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. Otherwise, the 12-inch ruler will strike you. Or do you get to the point where in the Upanishads, you discover another spectrum? Beware of false gurus. Or do you have somebody who says, I'm going to show you the way. I don't know the way, but I have to accept that you will discover your own way. And between compliant and dialogic relationships, we are left wondering what this Guru-Shishya relationship actually entails. I'm going to stop there and see what my co-conspirators, sorry to say that, co-conspirators will have to say something about that.
So I'll volunteer first. Basically, the Guru-Shishya Paramparam is still it's a very strong tradition, which is still continuing. It's just that nowadays it is being kind of like diverged, or we can say it is being adapted into institutional settings. Yeah, so I would say that this tradition has been practiced in a kind of like a more in a way that fits the modern society. It has been kind of like growing.
So let's ask the ridiculous question, Prof. Jean. It is what it is. The institution then enforces a compliant relationship. And then if a compliant readership demands that I am the guru, you are the student, you just do as I say. Isn't that didactic pedagogy? Do we not want dialogic pedagogy?
So what I think is that this is a two-way road. So I respect teachers a lot, like Balu and David, but at the same time, Balu and David themselves are very democratic, and they are very open-minded in the sense that they allowed us to kind of like try something. Like, for example, one of the adaptation is the use of metronome and also tuner in Carnatic vocal music and also in Mridangam practice. So these two are not usually used traditionally by Carnatic practitioner. That's what I understand from David, because it is a machine that kind of dictates your the thala instead of like typing the thala itself. So a lot of practitioners have also criticized Wesleyan professors that, hey, we're using too much technology, we should slow it down. But why am I talking about this is because both of them, they allowed adaptation to happen. Yes, and also to have like a very adaptive pedagogical approaches. And another thing is that they understand the needs for diverse learning as well.
Prof. Seetha?
Okay, thanks, Prof. Actually, Guru-Shishya relationship and Guru-Shishya Parampara is one important ethical icon in Tamil culture, not only in Tamil culture, in Indian culture. Nowadays, those who are learning music and arts, definitely they are following, whether they are Asian people or maybe the Western-based students, automatically they will understand it. Maybe we won't see all these things in our day-to-day teaching also, because the percentage is maybe 80 for the Guru-Shishya relationship. But maybe for 50 years before, maybe it was 90% of Sishyas believe the Gurus. But now it is changing. It is decreasing actually. Maybe living evidence like me, I can tell all these things. But in art scene, whether it is in India or maybe in overseas, still it is very fresh. So that is the important maybe theory here we have to learn. Another one is, this is a surrender-based relationship. It's not a kind of, what to say, it's not like a boss and then the worker kind of relationship. It is surrender. I surrender my Guru because I know that he knows everything, whether he or she, my life will cherish because of this Guru. Because of these teachers only, I changed my domain to Tamil. Otherwise, I will be in a different domain. So I believe, and then this belief is still there. Sometimes people think, why you are behaving like a slave? No, it's not a slave. It's my respect. Maybe for today's community or maybe students, they will see that why you have to respect so much to your Guru, maybe to show respect to your Guru, because that is my belief in life. So I have to believe it. So this is still life in art scene, music scene, the music scene, traditional music, it is still there. So that the modern student also, who already got a lawyer's qualification or maybe medical qualification, but when she see the Guru, automatically surrender. So this is the surrender for knowledge, not for the arrogance or maybe the Guru's position. You know, I have a cup. This cup is Guru, but inside I got water or maybe coffee. So this water will have some meaning with the cup. So the cup will have some meaning with the student. So the water inside. Otherwise, the positive interrelationship is very important. And then they believe one another. So there is a dialogic kind of pedagogy also, because last time we didn't have anything, only the Edu, the palm leaves kind of script only. So the teacher is very important. The teacher, Guru will teach to the leader of the class, then automatically the leader will share through the oral tradition, oral kind of lessons. So that's why the Nannul, the 13th century book, mentioned that the teacher should have a good oral proficiency. Otherwise, you have so many IT materials, all these things, but still teacher has to talk. Now, what happened? Most of the time, our students show movies or maybe music, everything through, maybe some kind of lessons through technology, but they didn't talk. So if you have one word Guru, or maybe any Sishya, you have at least 5-6 hours of lecture can take, because there are so much material. But if we didn't pass these, maybe transfer these to our students, then the students just know the music and then the one word only. So why the vocabulary is important in many languages? Because of the Guru, because the Guru will talk everything. So the Guru will respect, and then the Guru will prepare the next generation of Guru. It's his duty, because the succession also very important. So all these things happen in Guru-Shishya relationship, but it is very lively. Maybe 95% very lively in arts, traditional arts, when compared to contemporary education. Because in contemporary education, the Shishya will think, I know everything. I just get all the details from Google. Why do I need you? But for life and then learning and experience and wisdom, we need a human. We don't need a machine. That's it. Yeah. Thank you.
You know, Seetha, you reminded me of two things. One of them was Jacques Derrida referring to deference, not difference, because the Guru-Shishya relationship is about difference. Because historically, the Guru has already been there. The Shishya is seeking something from a seer called a Guru. Whether or not the Guru is a seer or himself or herself, another seeker, that's a slightly different tangential story. But the fact, of course, is the relationship is something that defines the notion of deference. I am not submitting to you. I understand where you're coming from. I defer, as in not DIF, but DEF to you, in the understanding that in my search for Brahma, in my search for absolute knowledge, you are simply a pathway. So that's number one. Number two, of course, is the whole notion of how we work with a Guru-Shishya relationship, which says, well, there's a transactional relationship. And in contemporary society, you don't sit down and wait 12 years, as in the Upanishads, somebody who says, stay in my house, I will instruct you and I will show you the ways. Today, that transactional relationship is economic. And we can't avoid that. It's not about us saying, let's go back to the 13th century and say, okay, let's sit down and let's wait for you after 12 years to discover yourself. There's a certain kind of relationship, a relational capital. And unfortunately, we have to include economical capital that says, sorry, in 2025, there's economics. And you have to understand that whichever institution you're at, somebody pays you money, it's an hourly rate. Funny you mentioned lawyers, because lawyers do the very same thing. You consult them and you are charged by the hour. And in a strange way, there's that parallel universe, isn't there, Prof. Seetha? Because then the expertise that is there available to the shishya is a function of hourly rates and an economic translational relationship, which then changes the whole notion. I wanted to add, I should have said that earlier, Prof. Jean's notion that the I in relationship to, the Guru-Shishya relationship is also a function of, excuse me, I am not I anymore. I am I because I am not part of a Gurukala. I am now part of an institution called whichever institution in Singapore or in Chennai or whoever, but also another institution called a university, which then says, okay, I know you've trained your student. Can your student actually cut the mustard, as they say? Can they actually provide the relationships? And this is not new, because we know that if someone plays the piano or plays an instrument, and then all of a sudden we have other forms of relationships like the Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music, Trinity College of Music, Guildhall. Because if you are a dancer, where are you? What international standings do you have? What kind of proposals do you have that would say, okay, so you can dance? What are your qualifications? What is the international syndicated examination systems that will invite you to say, I am? I take the silence as if you're a concert pianist, what would you have for qualifications? What would you have for credentials?
So sorry, my laptop is a little bit lagging here, but So for concert pianists, definitely they look for like they go for ABRSM examination, LTCL, a degree probably. And what I noticed is that there are more there's an increasing number of institutions that are working with like University of West London, for example, or some of the Western universities to provide to kind of like assess Carnatic music students. And because of it's kind of like
Sorry, you're breaking up.
yeah, so yeah, can you hear me, Dr. Eugene?
Can everybody hear him? Thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that a lot of institutions are following the ABRSM model and adapt it into the Carnatic music schools.
You see, in that sense, thank you, Prof. Jean, that we have now seen a parallel movement from ABRSM, literally post-colonial discourse, into the discourse of the Carnatic tradition. And so, you know, Prof. Seetha, I'm interested to know, because right now, the only institution in Singapore that accepts all of these things is CFAS. And CFAS has a connection with the University of Madras and a number of other universities. And all of a sudden, the examination series, I can tell you about the parallel universe in the Singapore Chinese Orchestra, because they have two versions. The Beijing examination series and the Shanghai examination series. And the question of what Prof. Jean was talking about is, how do we know your credentials? And your credentials are identified by international syndicated series. And CFAS has been working with the University of Madras and a number of other institutions to say, look, we've got the mojo, we've got what it works. And so that's why we are where we are. Now, that's a double-edged sword in a way, because what has happened is, if you think of the geographical terms of migration, right? Because in Madras, in Chennai, in Delhi, in everywhere else, we have seen and we have heard how people who did not have the university of whatever credentials, but had another series of credentials, which was called All India Radio, which was blind reviewed. Nobody knew who you were. You performed as you performed, and then you were either grade A, grade B musician. Today, we now have replaced that with an institution. How does that work with the Guru-Shishya relationship? Sorry, Prof. Seetha.
The All India Radio, the grade A, grade B, also based on the audition and then the examination at the radio station. Because in the radio station, usually we will have audition and then the qualification related tests and then technical tests, all these things. Another thing is they will see the qualification, then from whom, like university, the gurus are like university. So from the gurus, they will know that, okay, this student has experience under this guru's tutelage. So the means he will be following the guru's talents and experiences. Then the gurus also, like just now Prof. Jean Loy mentioned that they will go for the musical concerts and then learn from the guru. So through that also the student will be able to share his knowledge and then his experience also. Now we are going for University of Madras or maybe in for other the arts related qualification will go to Andhra or maybe Kerala. But the main thing is we do not have that kind of institution in Singapore. It's because we need to develop this kind of institutions in Singapore, and we have to add Western and Eastern kind of accreditation, qualification, and then pedagogy assessment in our institutions. Then people will come here. The same goes to the Tamil language. Last time, we did not have degree program in in Singapore. So the A-level student will learn from A-level qualified teacher only. But now, later they went to India. Yeah, there are many universities and still the accreditation are different based on your marks or maybe their years of experience or maybe the anciency of the years. But now every country now they are developing. So, but still we are very slow, but we will get maybe in future. But the native country-based qualification is totally different. So we need to develop our students like that. For that, we will send them for immersion and then other kind of internship. So this will evolve slowly. Then we do not need to go for other universities only. So we can give accreditation from our universities.
Thank you very much for that, Prof. Seetha, because you know that in the Singapore high stakes assessment, O-level and A-level music, yes. There are things like Indian music. I hesitate to think about Carnatic and Hindustani, but it is called Indian music. You know, it's like when you go to Europe, it's called Western music, when actually Beethoven was Dutch, Austrian, Viennese music. And nobody ever worries about that. But if you went down to Indonesia and gamelan, you would hear, hey, is this Balinese gamelan? Is this Javanese gamelan? Is this, you know? And all of a sudden, musicology becomes ethnomusicology because someone out there in the Anglophone world believes that, yes, all is Western music and all is Indonesian music and all is Indian music, without even understanding the complexities that come with the various segmentations and the various ways in which nobody will talk about Bhangra, which is Punjabi. Nobody will talk about, I mean, that will be all Indian music, wouldn't it? And it becomes a big worry because when there is a kind of homogenization of the Guru-Shishya relationship, it also creates questions about how that sense of homogenization becomes a problem when people migrate and people become part of a different kind of situation. And you have diaspora cultures who believe that this is the only way that you can represent a certain kind of culture where you are and not experience things differently. I know from my colleagues and my old friends in Melbourne and Sydney who say the Bharatanatyam that is practiced there in Australia is very not the same as the Bharatanatyam that happened in Singapore. I take it the silence is of some form of processing.
Yeah, I think, sorry, my laptop and the Zoom has been breaking off, but I think in different contexts, it requires different kinds of pedagogy. Like Bharatanatyam in Australia, for example, it's maybe it's the traditional oral and the oral style of learning Bharatanatyam might not apply to students there. I mean, those who grew up at in Australia, for example.
But you know, Prof. Jean, Prof. Seetha will tell you that the whole notion of authenticity, and I'm thinking of Van Leeuwen, is about, okay, where is authenticity?
Oh.
We have documentary evidence of that.
In Australia nowadays, most of the students used to go to the guru's house and then stay there for some time, maybe 1 month or 2 months, and then later they will come to Australia. Then they will continue the classes through the Zoom. This was before that they learned through Skype, because a few of our friends also having the same thing. They learn every day, every week, certain hours through the Skype, and then they learn the dance. The same thing goes to Singapore also, because I knew a few of our Singapore girls. They went to India, and then the mothers also used to go there. So they spend 1 year, 2 years, then they managed to learn most of the important lessons, and then now they are starting their own institution to be a guru, maybe as a guru, and then now they are developing a lot of shishyas. This also shishyas, we can tell that nowadays we can use the term students. So now this kind of immersion-based development and then succession planning is happening in Singapore and other countries. But this is easy for those who have financial assistance. Otherwise, the ordinary people cannot go, because it's a bit costly. Also, when you have the Arangetram in India, it's definitely costly for the Bharatanatyam. But still, people are choosing this kind of paths. That's really great, actually. So in future, in Singapore, they will have their own institution, and then they will be able to connect with the Western accredited universities or maybe institution. They can issue the certificates. This is different when compared to the traditional one.
You know, Seetha, I'm sorry, Prof. Seetha, you just read my
You can call me Seetha.
Okay. You just read my mind, because with migration and the migration of the I, Nan Yara, who am I?
Oh.
When you move to when you move across zones and you move across ideas like that, begs the other question, which is, okay, how do I represent myself, or how do I represent myself? And in a very strange way, you've alluded to the way of representation and representation.
I think we'll get some input from Dr. Jean Lai.
Go on, Dr. Prof. Jean or Jean.
Oh, sorry. Could you repeat the question again? I'm so sorry. My laptop is lagging.
No. Okay, that's not a problem. What Prof. Seetha was referring to, okay, Seetha from now onwards, is when you submit, as Dr. Manjula was talking about, the surrendering of the shishya to the guru is not a simple matter, because in the Upanishads, there is no such thing as surrendering to. Because if you look at the Mayatri Upanishads, you realize, wait, there were people of a higher rank than the teacher who came down to ask themselves, how should we learn Brahma, which is the overall sense of the wholeness. Because there is Sabda Brahman and there is Nada Brahman. And people of a higher ranking, kings, princes, nobility, came to gurus and seers seeking knowledge. And here we seem to be perhaps deluded into the whole notion that a guru is a guru. Everything comes from the guru, the purveyor. And in pedagogical terms, and Prof. Seetha will know this. Sorry, Prof. Seetha, I'm wearing your hat as a pedagogue. Because all of a sudden, the teacher is the didactic deliverer of knowledge. And all of a sudden, that power discourse starts to corrupt pedagogical discourse. Gene.
Yeah, so I mean, like, what comes to my mind is that what kind of knowledge is being preserved? Is it the teachers?
It's an interesting question, Gene, because what is it that we're preserving? Do you want to do, you know, I mean, a colleague, a dear departed colleague said, if potatoes were the only thing that we worried about, only people in South America would eat it. Why should we have French fries? Because, yeah, I mean, we could say the same thing about pizza. We could say the same thing about Japanese, what do we call it? Which we know is 400-year-old. Yes, it's called tempura, which the Japanese have now started to own, but actually is more than 400-year-old Portuguese recipes. Now, how do we reconcile the Guru-Shishya relationship in terms of understanding who decided what would? And then that's part of where your presentation was about. I mean, who knows what Indian culture was, because we had no records except for written records. Who knows how Guru-Shishya relationships worked? And then today we're asking ourselves, excuse me, this is the way it's done. And we have a simple example from tempura, because it is actually more than 400-year-old Portuguese recipes, but it's called Japanese.
Guru-Shishya, in ancient times, definitely the kings also respect the gurus. When the gurus, maybe they made any mistakes or maybe without knowing anything or maybe accidentally, then the kings won't punish them. If the others means definitely they will punish. So that means the respect for guru is there. At the same time, we cannot say that guru knows everything. Guru also learns and then develops his knowledge. So maybe that was from his gurus or maybe through books or maybe by his experience. So after he learned new knowledge, then he pass all those kinds of knowledge to his student. So this is a continuing effect. So the same tempura also, every culture has its own specific features of food or maybe materials or anything. But people see them and then they will adapt it and then they will change it or repackage it according to their context. So then they claim for the copyright, but the original copyright person is from some other country. If we miss it, then we lose it. That's it. So now we are also working for Google Scholar, all these things. But maybe 15 years, 20 years before, we didn't know all these things. That means our teachers in mother tongue languages or maybe other subjects, do you think that they all do not know anything? They did not know anything? No, but still they are valuable. So all these things we have to evaluate or maybe give merit according to the context and time. and the gurus, or maybe the teachers, or maybe the researchers' background. It's not like we cannot measure them with one yardstick. This
Well,
is my conclusion.
you've raised a very difficult question, because tomorrow the new Guru-Shishya is GAI.
But definitely it cannot replace the humans. We have heart and soul and life and pity, all these things. I think the AI won't have.
Okay, Jean, I'm told that we need to wrap this all up, because this is getting a little harder and longer. So, Jean? Can you hear us, Jean?
I think the network connection.
Okay. Prof. Jean, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Any last words? Because I'm told that, if this discussion gets any further, we're going to be here till tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, just want to share something that is like very personal to me. It's like every time when I take Soka 2 classes, every time I will get very stressed up. I'm sorry that I couldn't turn on my video because it's so laggy.
No,
So yeah, so this is why I think that Carnatic music is really there's certain elements of talent in there, but for people like myself, I'm not a talented Carnatic musician, but I am a very curious person, a curious audience of Carnatic music. So I mean, I really appreciate that there is a slow development of like new pedagogy that kind of like help me to understand Soka 2 even better. Like, for example, using notation, for example. So maybe in the future we could, I mean, like a pedagogy maybe for like a diverse learners.
Okay. I think that will probably have to be, and I wish I had views from the others, but it seems that we have created a situation where all of our external visitors seem to have been left out, and I do apologize sincerely for that. On the other hand, I think there have been issues raised, which I think will add value to an understanding of the ways in which something as simple as a Guru-Shishya relationship has given us a lot of food for thought. Because Prof. Seetha's historical overview, Prof. Jean's doctoral pathways literally are complementary. I don't mean complementary, but complementary. But they also give rise to deference, that we beg to differ, but we also understand deference, to use the term by Jacques Derrida. And I think on that note, this is going to be an ongoing conversation. I want to thank our two speakers this evening. Prof. Seetha Lakshmi and Prof. Jean Lai for a very engaging, I don't know what we call it, conversation, but it is certainly a dialogue or a dialogic. And I think it's important that an issue like this, in terms of the pedagogical discourse in relation to how a seer speaks to a seer, or how a seeker understands what a seer is trying to figure out. And on that note, I want to thank you. I want to thank the CARE webinar series. I want to thank Dr. Jennifer Wong. I want to thank the team, Zul and Eunice, who are at the back end of all of this, so that we understand that how good and how well we sound are only a function of how our tech support people actually provide us with the affordance. So thank you once again, everyone, for attending. I hope that there are questions that you can add on to either Prof. Seetha, Prof. Jean, or myself. And we hope to see you for the next CARE webinar series. Thank you very much and good night.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you for the VPA department, the head, and then many professors are there, Prof. Eddie and Dr. Ratnavil. So thanks for the opportunity.
Most welcome. Most welcome.